Hello, welcome to my channel. I am the workwife. My name is Rachel, and today's topic is going to be based on. Actually, I got a couple of questions about this from Instagram and from my YouTube about what to do when you have a coworker who's got jokes, and they're not necessarily funny ones, and they're usually at your expense. So before I jump in, I am a workplace coach. I have almost 20 years of corporate experience where I've worked at big companies, medium-sized companies, everything in between, where the common denominator, unfortunately, was toxic work environments. And I have successfully navigated my way around, through, and out of those environments, and I'd be happy to help you. So if you like this content and it resonates with you, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and and subscribe and share with your family and friends and anyone else you might know who's going through a toxic situation right now. Okay, so I did a lengthy post on Instagram about what to do when you have a coworker who's got jokes, and that are thinly disguised as snarky comments, sarcasm, condescension, and they're all under the guise of, well, I'm just kidding. And they're not kidding. They're not. What if for whatever reason from the jump they didn't like you, they didn't appreciate you, they didn't want you to be there, but maybe they have their reputation as being a jokester, or those people. There was always a class clown in school, always had to be the center of attention. And now you've got one at work, but the nature of the jokes isn't one of, hey, I'm trying to lighten everybody's load, I'm trying to just make everyone feel good, just give everyone a laugh, when things feel heavy. No, this feels a little bit more targeted. And what I didn't get into on the post, and I kind of just said, hey, here's what to do in these situations. But sometimes the problem is deeper than that, in the sense it's passive aggressive behavior, or it's narcissistic behavior. And part of the narcissism aspect is gaslighting. A lot of people talk about gaslighting now with respect to narcissists. And I'm not going to get into narcissists in this video because I can go on and on about that. But it has to do with gaslighting, has to do with where the person clearly says something that's hurtful or mean-spirited, and you take it as such. And they're like, oh no, I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth. It's not just I didn't mean that. It's like I didn't say that. And you're looking around like, because usually this is done one-on-one and you don't necessarily have witnesses. That's what narcissists do. They catch you alone. They're not trying to, get attention from the masses here. It's towards you specifically. And maybe they sense that you're not the person who's going to push back on them, or you're not the person who's going to call them out. And for whatever reason, they think they have, who do we have here that we can gaslight today? Don't fall for it. If they try to tell you, oh, I didn't say that. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say anything of the sort. You say, well, yes, you did. You said this, this, and this. I mean, write it down if you have to. Seriously, if it's consistent enough, write it down. Right? So, and then repeat it back to them. No, you said this. So what did you mean by that? Call them on it. Don't internalize what a passive-aggressive person or a narcissistic person tells you. That's another thing I want to touch upon. Because I kind of wrote, this post where it was like, just do this. But what if you don't have the self-confidence to do that? What if you are new to the job and you're just like, look, man, I don't want to make any waves here. This person's been here a long time. Everybody seems to enjoy his or her sense of humor. I don't want to be that person who's just like, I'm offended. First of all, okay, understood, but you have every right to protect yourself, and you have every right not to take crap from other people in the office. I don't care how new or how old they are. You're not supposed to take it. So don't internalize what they're saying, and then you go into this, because I've done this, okay? You go into this long inner dialogue, this long inner conversation with yourself. Let's say they're long gone. They're not even thinking about you anymore. You're getting into this long conversation with yourself, like, why am I taking such a bit? Yeah, maybe I'm taking this too seriously. I'm overreacting again. I just want to get along, go along and get along. And here I am still thinking about this person's comment. So it must be me, right? I'm the problem. They mean well. It's just, they're just trying to be funny, and they're just trying to, just lighten the tone around here, No. Your intuition, that heart that I was talking about in yesterday's video or 2 days ago, the gut, the heart, however you want to call it, is telling you there's something wrong. Don't start judging yourself and criticizing yourself for being overly sensitive. Even people like myself who tend to be very empathetic, okay? You've labeled yourself an empath or a highly sensitive person. That's another topic I want to get into about labels, but anyway, I don't distract myself. But you've labeled yourself an empath. And so you feel things, you tend to feel things deeply. Like the slightest thing, someone crying just sets you off, right? You don't even need to know them. They just start crying. You're crying. You're like, why am I crying? You're going to tend to be like, well, I'm an empath. I tend to take things more seriously and deeply. So it's just me. It's me. It's not them. No, it is partly you because you are reacting to it. You are responding. But it's also them. They're being an asshat. And you have every right to call them on it. And if they tell you being overly sensitive, own it. That's one thing I learned. Own it. Don't get defensive and go, well, I'm really not sensitive, but I am. Okay. So now what? Now what do we do? And hopefully, because they know you're overly sensitive, now this doesn't solve the overall issue of their passive aggressiveness and their narcissism. That's something you can't resolve. They need to resolve that for themselves, if ever. But maybe then, at that moment, they'll realize this is not the one. I'm not the one. You're not going to wake up and then decide to walk in or walk to my cube or whatever the case might be, and I am me. However the mode of communication is, and decide that you're going to try to ruin my day. Even if maybe consciously they're not even thinking about that, but there's some dynamic between you and this person that's making them think that this is okay, despite maybe the body language you've told them. Maybe you try to avoid them, you see them and you try to go the other way, and they follow you and they're like, oh, and you're like, oh gosh, I really don't want to deal with this person, but they follow you anyway. Or you've just come into your, gotten to your desk, and meanwhile, bam, they're there. I'm like, why? It's not worth your time to internalize this and do a lot of inner questions as to why they're doing this, or what did I do to prompt this? Why have I gotten this person's attention? Let's cut to the chase. You did. So let's move beyond all that. Let's address what's going on right now, in this moment. They're being jokey with you, or sarcastic or snarky, some sort of passive-aggressive comment while they got a smile on their face, which is disturbing in and of itself, because it's like cognitive dissonance where you're saying something mean and you got a smile on your face. That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, you're seeing this happen to you, and you're immediately like, you contract. No. The minute you feel that contraction, that means you're taking it in. Your body is taking in the crap they're dishing out. And unless you put your little goalpost up and say, nah, you're not doing this to me, you can call them on it and say, why are you, what's the joke? I don't get it. You could pretend that and just say, I don't get it. Is that supposed to be funny? I mean, you can be sarcastic too. And like all bullies, when you call them on their crap, they don't know what to do with that. They don't know what to do. They're just hemming and hawing, and then finally they book. Because they don't have you anymore. They don't have you in their clutches anymore. Because they can see the moment of choice. I was talking about conscious choices. You contract and you go, oh. And you sink and you slump. It's all in your body language that they can see, especially a narcissist. They can see the body language. I got you. As opposed to you opening and saying, putting your shoulders back and saying, nope, I don't get it. What are you trying to say? That's the end of that. And see, they won't try again. They may, but it's not going to have this. They're going to be a little bit more tentative the next time because they're going to think maybe that was a fluke. That, maybe she was, in her feelings and she just wasn't taking it. So I'm going to try again. No, you do the same thing next time. And guess what? You're going to have even more inner strength to do it the next time, more inner confidence to do it the next time. So the first time may be scary because, as is always the case when you're standing up to a bully, because basically that's what that is. If someone has you targeted over and over again, I'm not talking about a random asshat who just is in a bad mood that day and then they seem fine the next day. That happens and you just ignore it. But I'm talking about someone who consistently is in your face with nonsense. The sooner you stand up to that and the sooner you take ownership of your feelings about it and don't try to deny that it's happening because you want to fit in, you don't want to be that person, the sooner you say, no, I am feeling this. And I refuse to spend the rest of my day, having it ruined because I'm ruminating about the same conversation going, well, if I had said this, okay, well, but they said this, I should have said that. No. That wastes your time and your energy. And as I said, they've already moved on to their next victim. They're not even thinking about you. So I know I have kind of maybe been a little bit all over the place with this video, but I feel strongly about this stuff. I've been there where I've internalized and I've had whole conversations with the person long after they've left. We're talking about sometimes years ago. That's how much of an impact that can have. Where, let's say, if it's even a more vulnerable moment or an embarrassing moment, someone maybe is a witness to the conversation and you feel like somehow you lost. You were not the victor in that. You basically gave away your power to the bully in front of others, and then that becomes embarrassing, and then the emotions have compounded. And you think about that shit years later. You're like, why didn't I just say? You're still thinking about that. So I'm trying to save you from having those kinds of moments months, years later, where you're still wishing you had defended yourself properly. So that's kind of my take on it, based on what I was writing about, just say this. And you were saying, well, Rachel, I really don't have, that confidence yet. I'm just trying to do my job. I understand. But it's extremely important. You say you want to get along. It's extremely important that people know who you are and then you're not to be messed with. And you can do it as professionally and as kindly with a smile on your face. You don't need to be nasty. You can just say, oh, I don't get it. I'm new here. Maybe I'm not familiar with your sense of humor. There are many different ways to do this in a way that doesn't draw attention to you, but it draws attention to them because they're the ones causing the problem. So I hope this helped. As always, if this resonated with you, feel free to drop a comment. I'd be happy to have discussions, and feel free to send me a message on Instagram at @theworkwife. And I'd love to help you if you're going through a situation like this where you just have that toxic coworker who just won't leave you alone. We can figure this out together. So until next time, stay cool, stay centered, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.